הנה מה טוב אוי ומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב אוי ומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב אוי ומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב אוי ומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנה עם שבט אחים יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנה עם שבט אחים יחד. הנה הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבט אחים גם יחד. שבט אחים ויחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבט אחים גם יחד. שבט אחים ויחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ויומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ויומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ויומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ויומנה עם שבט אחים גם יחד. Good morning. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Congregation Sherry Zedek. Located where?
You always say the prairies.
In the beautiful prairies of Manitoba, Canada. Welcome, everyone. And remember, we are here starting a beautiful summer, what it looks like.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous summer.
Hot.
Yeah, but it was so nice to have like a 38 degrees day yesterday. Celsius.
My favorite part of the summer is you can't drive anywhere without running into horrible construction that just absolutely derails your plans. Everywhere you go. That's how I don't know it's summer because of the 38 degrees. I know it's summer because half the lanes of every major street in the city are being carved out.
I don't know. I'm in lockdown, so I don't leave my house.
Just to get to here. To get from my house to here.
Yeah, I know. I cannot turn left on Harrow. I had to.
Right, exactly.
You
But that's
break
right.
my
It's
routine.
a
I
beautiful
like routine.
For those of us who live in Winnipeg, and most of our listeners and viewers, they know we love the summer. We live for the summer. And it's that sweet spot right now where there's no, am I allowed to say the word out?
Yes.
There's no mosquitoes.
That's right.
There's cankerworms.
They are? I haven't seen it.
Not in your neighborhood?
No.
It must be the kinds of trees. My neighborhood, we go for a walk with like the stroller and stuff, and it's like dodgeball with cankerworms. You know, you're constantly checking each other. Are there cankerworms on me? Are there cankerworms in my hair? Terrible.
I got wasps, bumblebees.
Bumblebee.
So far.
Yeah, all the beauties of summer. But you're right,
Spiders.
it's nice, Rabbi. It's really nice weather. I love it.
So welcome, everyone. Welcome, Rabbi Leibel.
Welcome. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Bill Weisman. How are you doing?
Shalom.
All good? Leslie Emery. Hi.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom.
And the one and only Marvin Polanski. By the way, Marvin, first, hi. Second, I cannot hear the right channel of the piano. Thank you.
Oh, do I have to go and plug something in? Okay.
So thank you so much to everyone for letting us into your homes. We love you, and we think that each one of you is so special because you make this service unique. And you know, it brings me back memories. Something that I told Rabbi Matthew in the past, something that happens to me way back in Chile. I was I can't remember, it was a Monday morning or Thursday morning tefillin ceremony for a bar mitzvah. And they were reading the Torah, this week's Parsha. Shlach Lecha. The kid was reading this week's Parsha. And when he said the word Vayaturu, big spit. And landed on the word Vayaturu.
I don't remember this story.
And one of the words disappeared. It was a big black mess. And the rabbi said, I guess he used that awkward moment as an education opportunity. And he said, the Torah is not kosher anymore. You can't read from this Torah because there is a letter clearly missing from there. And if you have one letter that is missing from a Torah, the complete Torah is not kosher anymore. And he explained about how every letter of the Torah is important, to the point that doesn't matter what it is. If one letter is missing, the entire Sefer Torah is not kosher. And he was explaining that life is exactly the same. Each one of us is special in its own way. And if one of us is missing, all of us have a problem. So, believe me when I said we value each one of you, and we are so happy that you decided to take a moment on this beautiful Saturday to celebrate Shabbat with us here at Congregation Shaare Zedek. We have a great service ahead of us.
What happened to that bar mitzvah boy? Did they grab another Torah and he finished the reading, or what happened?
No, we finished it, but then that Torah was removed and they brought another one.
So is this a challenge to the Torah readers today when they get to that word to make sure
when you
nothing is spit out?
When you say vayaturu,
yeah, I know.
There's another
And I
reason
still remember,
to wear a mask while you read from the
That's
Torah.
right.
I don't remember too much about the parsha, but I remember that is a word that is vayaturu, because that's what happened. So life is it's funny, right? The way you can remember certain things.
Of course.
Yeah.
That was a great story.
The
That was a
word
great story.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's begin with our service, taking a moment to count our blessings. On page 5, we invite you to rise for Birkot HaShachar. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan la'asek min alav ki min yom v'layla.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani betzalmo.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Together.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokei achivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokeif kefufim.
Amen.
Together.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
Page 6. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa li kol tzorki.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ameichi mitzadei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozer Israel v'gevura.
Amen.
Elohai, Elohai. Neshama, Neshama. Shenatatavi, Shenatatavi. Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, moter Israel betifara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anotel yaev kohach.
Amen.
One more time, together. Elohai, Neshama,
Neshama.
Shenatatavi, Shenatatavi. Tehorahi,
Tehorahi.
And please remain standing as we continue page 7 with Baruch She'amar. Baruch She'amar ve'aya olam. Baruch Hu. Baruch Oseh Bereshit. Baruch Omer ve'oseh. Baruch Oseh u'mekayem. Baruch merachem al haaretz. Baruch merachem al ha'beriot. Baruch meshalem tzachar tov lire'av. Baruch chai la'ad v'kayam la'netzach. Baruch podeh u'matzil. Baruch Shemo, la 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 And you may be seated.
Are you following along, Rabbi, with you see what my favorite Marvin has done here? He's put this new camera here where he's got this shot of my hands.
Let's see.
He's very sneaky.
Let's see if he can
He's
show me.
he's very sneaky about this whole thing. I come in here today and there's this camera set up and it's pointed down at my hand. So now I can't. Well, I have to be careful.
Oh, there, I can see.
I have to be careful. I've got a complex about my hands, by the way. They're very small.
I've never noticed that.
I have incredibly small hands. I regularly will put my hands up next to my bar and bat mitzvah students, pre-COVID, and their hands are quite often as big, if not bigger, than my hands. I have these very tiny hands. They are as big today as they were when I started playing piano when I was 8. And I was like, I can do an octave, no problem. And then that's it. So thanks a lot, Marvin. Talk about putting a magnifying glass on my
Have you ever
insecurities.
considered playing violin, maybe?
No, I don't want to do that. To me, piano is easier. We were just talking before the service about I can never play piano at home because there's always somebody sleeping or there's somebody doing something. And then I'll start playing a song that my son Hugo actually likes. And this is what he'll say to me. No, Daddy, no. Mommy's phone. He wants me to play the song off YouTube on Mommy's phone instead of actually playing it for him. No, Daddy, stop.
That my son does the same thing with me.
I know. And now I am having flashbacks because my mom says I used to do that to her when she would play, and I would come up to her and I would close.
Oh, there is hope then.
I would close you know how the piano has like a, right? If I would go up to her and I would close the piano so that she couldn't keep playing. And now All these years later, it's coming back to me. But anyway, it's very cool. So people will get to see some of the magical little things
Very nice. Very nice.
that I do. So thanks to Marvin. Always taking us to another level.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
I think it looks great.
I agree.
Thanks.
And tiny hands didn't even occur to me, so thank you for that anecdote.
Later on, I'll show you.
Always to the next level.
That's right.
By the way, that's the topic of the drush today.
See? Well, it's like you and I were on the same wavelength. I love it.
Do we have any messages here? Because
Tons.
So many nice
you know,
ones.
I want to see one here.
Oh,
This is for those who say that bar mitzvah boys never come back to
Oh,
synagogue.
yeah.
I know. It's
You know what I'm
incredible.
talking
This is
about.
his second week in a row for Gregory Hyman.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he got the memo that he had his bar mitzvah and that it's done. It's over. You can sleep in. But it's great to see him here. He's been coming to Friday nights.
I
And
just took a screenshot. I'm going to frame it.
I think that there is a job offer to be extended to Gregory Hyman in the near future just by showing up. Just think about it.
Absolutely.
Kid's pretty good.
Who else is there?
Good. Oh, man, there were so many good people here.
Yeah.
there are. I think I'll welcome a few of them. Welcome and Shabbat Shalom to Bonnie Robinson, Alice Wiseman, Phyllis Laveman, David Wilder, Sandy Polanski, Terry Kushner, and Melanie Richters with Ryan, Sarah, and Bridget. Shabbat Shalom to you all. Welcome to Jerome Foman, Murray and Sharon Nazen, Zelda Elkin, Claudette Hale, Evelyn Hecht, Clyde Hertig with Karen, Corey Glassberg, Hannon Bell, Leon Pinkovich, Lori and Israel Bin Noon. Welcome here and good Shabbos to you all. Lyle and Evita Smorden are here, Joy Thompson, Judy Chirac, Sarah B., Amy Widows, Alan Cantor with Gloria, Harry and Rhonda Ewell, Earl Barish, Miriam Siegel, Rena Elbaz, Jeff Marcus. Welcome, welcome here. Good Shabbos to you all. And it keeps going. Rochelle Pinkovich, this is so nice.
Great to see so many of you already here
Stephen
with us.
Cantor and Gregory Hyman, of course, Bonnie Cham, Jackie Wasserman, Mara Doktorov, Louis Stern with Deb. Welcome, good Shabbos. This is just lovely. Jackie Sipe, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Shara Zedek. And we look forward to davening with you all this morning.
Thank you, Leslie. Let's continue on page 8. Praising the name of God, top of the page. We sing these beautiful verses from the Psalm 148. Hallelujah et Adonai min hashamayim. Hallelujah v'ambromim. Hallelujah kol malachav. Hallelujah kol tzepav. Hallelujah. 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 Shemesh ve'yareya. Hallelujah. Gog ve'or. Hallelujah. Shmei hashamayim ve'amayim asher me'al hashamayim. Hallelujah. 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 Kol malachav. Hallelujah. Kol tzepav. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And I would like to invite everyone to rise as we turn to page 46. We'll recite together the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hirutei ve'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Israel ba'agala u'bizman kari ve'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shemei Rabba mevorach le'alam u'le'olmei olmayam. Yitbarach ve'yishtavach ve'yitpa'ar ve'itromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudesha berichu. Le'eila min kol virchata ve'shirata tushvechata ve'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imeru amen.
Amen.
Yehesh lama rava min shemaya ve'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Israel v'imeru amen.
Amen.
עושה שלום ממרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ויאמרו, Amen.
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 You may be seated as we return to page 10, second paragraph, Shochinat Marom. Shochinat Marom, וקדוש שמו.
Shochin ad marom vekadosh shemo.
בפי ישרים תתהלל, ודברי צדיקים נתברך, ובלשון חסידים נתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש. Bottom of the page, the חצי קדיש. יתגדל ויתקדש שמרבה.
Amen.
בעלמא דיברה חירותה וימליך מלכותה. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יש מרבה מבורך לעלם ולא לעלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתעשה ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל. שמר וקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירם ועלמה. ויאמרו ויאמרו
ויאמרו ויאמרו
ויאמרו ויאמרו ויאמרו אמן. And I would like to invite everyone to rise now, so we have an opportunity to bless the name of God, the source of all blessing. Page 12, Baruch. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Havorach Leolam Lael.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Yotzer or uvorech choshech, oseh shalom uvoret hakol. You may be seated as we proceed now to the Shema Israel on page 14. Let's sing together the second paragraph. Listen,
Yes.
listen, page 14. If you are lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there is nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way and listen, listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you can hear if you listen, listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam. Listen, listen to our God. Listen, listen to our God. We continue silently with the recitation of the Shema Israel, pages 15, 16, and top of page 17. Adonai Elohim Emet. Page 17. Let's sing together the words of victory. The words that reminds us every day that we can do it. Micha Mocha. Page 17. Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai. מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. שירה חדשה שבחוג נעולים לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא. Please rise. צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ובדגנו יהודה בישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא. ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל. And please remain standing for the chanting of the Amidah. We're going to sing together in Hebrew the first 3 blessings. And after the Ledor Vador, we will all have the opportunity to continue on silent prayer. When we move to the silent prayer part, please feel free to use the Hebrew, the English, or your own words of prayer. Now let's begin to sing together on page 18. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון. גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות. ומביא גואל לבני בניהם. למען שמו ואהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיים מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמנת להחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה המתים. Bottom of page 20, the קדושה. נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום. כאן כתוב על יד נביאך וקרא אז אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אז וקול רעש גדול אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול מתנסים לעומת צרפים לעומת העם ברוך יאמרו ברוך אמור אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך. ממקומך מלכנו מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי מתי תמלוך תמלוך בציון. מתי מתי תמלוך תמלוך בציון. וקרב בימינו
וקרב בימינו
לעולם ועד תשכון. וקרב בימינו
וקרב בימינו
לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים ירושלים עירך לדור ודור לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים. לדור ודור לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה תראנה מלכותך כדבר אמור בשירי עוזך. על ידי ידי דוד על ידי ידי דוד משיח צדקך. על ידי ידי דוד על ידי ידי דוד משיח צדקך. Page 22. ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון לדור ודור הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, ושבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please continue with your own private prayer. Once you finish your prayer, you may be seated. We are going to continue with the Kaddish Shalem, page 32. יתגדל ויתקדש מדבר וילמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי ויכון יום יכון ובחד כל בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב וימרו אמן יש מרבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ותרומם ותעשה ותדע ותעלה ותעלה שמדי קודשה בריחו לאין לה מקרב כתב ושידתה תושבחת ונקמת תמירם בעלמה וימרו אמן תתקבל צלותון ובותינו לכל ישראל קודם אבון ובשמיה וימרו אמן יש למה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן עושה שלום ממרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן.
I'm just wrong key, just thinking about it.
Well, we invite everyone to rise now for the Torah service. But thank you, Rabbi Matthew, for beautiful piano playing.
You're welcome. Yasher Koach. Great shacharit. And just dawned on me, the last couple of weeks we haven't been together.
Yeah.
And it was feeling really good to do, we had the bar mitzvahs and of course the restrictions and everything. And so nice to have you and Leslie and Bill and Marvin, all of us together here. Great shacharit. It showed.
The team is back.
The band, the team is back together.
So,
yes. So is Leslie leading our Torah service?
Leslie, I have to take care of the Zoom Aliyot. We have the Kohen, the very first one.
That's right.
So if, who is it, Terry, right?
Yes.
Terry Kushner, if you're around, please connect. I don't see you in the Zoom. I'm already panicking.
I saw her earlier. I thought I saw her.
And I guess we're on page 33, and we're going to invite everyone, please rise.
ויהי בנצוע אהרון ויאמר משה קומה אדוני ויפוצו אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה Zion, Tetzeh Torah, Udevar Adonai, Yerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai agedula ve'agevura ve'tiferet.
Romemu.
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 Adonai Eloheinu. Ve'ishtachavu.
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 Le'adam raglav kadosh hu. Romemu.
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 Adonai Eloheinu. Ve'ishtachavu.
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 Har kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
Nicely done, Leslie. Yasher kochech.
Baruch Tieh, thank you.
Everyone can take a seat, get comfortable, and let's switch books for our reading from the Torah. And as Rabbi Mas mentioned at the beginning, Parshat Shlach Lecha. Sometimes this parsha is just called Shlach. But you know what? When you drop that Lecha, it may not seem like a big deal, but it is. I'll tell you why in a second. Which books are we going to, you may ask? Well, you probably know by now, but just in case, you may have a copy like this available for purchase from the Shered Zedek Sisterhood gift shop. Please contact the Shered Zedek Sisterhood gift shop. It's the Etz Chaim Chumash. You can use any Chumash. If you have the Etz Chaim Chumash, we can call out the page numbers, and you may be thinking, I don't have it, but you do, because it's on the website. Our website, szwinnipeg.ca. There is a link that says prayer book, Sidurim, and Torah readings, and you can click there, and you can follow along, and you can see the actual pages as if you were here in the shul with a book in your lap. But you may have a different Tanakh or a different Chumash. I know, for example, my Baba, who is watching right now. Hello, Baba. She uses a different Chumash. And so I will offer the chapter and verses so that you can follow in any Bible, any Tanakh, any Chumash, any Bible, for sure. Shlach Lecha. And one note, we had this last week. Last year when the pandemic derailed a couple of bat mitzvah services, we made a decision to preserve the Torah readings for the following year, which is now this year. What do I mean? We're on a triennial cycle. You've heard me talk about this before. We don't read the full parsha like they would at an Orthodox synagogue, but in most conservative and non-Orthodox synagogues, Reform synagogues, Reconstructionist synagogues, for the last 30-so years, they've used a triennial cycle where each parsha is subdivided into roughly into thirds, and then within those thirds into the 7 aliyot. And so in one year we read the first third, in the second year we read the middle third, in the third year we read the third third, right? So we're in triennial year 2, but because last year we were hoping there would be a bat mitzvah today, in the end it didn't work out, but we made a switch. Last year we read the middle third so that we could preserve the Torah readings that our bat mitzvah student had learned and her family. It didn't work out, but because we made that switch last year, and Rabbi Mas mentioned, every letter of the Torah is important. The triennial cycle allows us to read every letter, every word of the Torah over a 3-year period. We didn't want to miss it. So just like we did last week, this week we are reading the first third. We'll be back on track with triennial year number 2 next week. And if you have a great memory, you'll remember that last year when we had Shlach Lecha, we read the middle third. And the beginning of Shlach Lecha is really the most familiar part of the story. This is one of the most familiar stories in the Torah, I would argue, because people know that it's the reason why Bnei Israel, the Israelites, had to wander for 40 years. 2 great sins in the wilderness. 1, making the golden calf. We covered that back in February. March? January? We did, I promise. Second big sin, the sin of the spies. Because Shlach Lecha, which translates to send for yourself, right? That's why the Lecha is important. Shlach sends a send. Shlach Lecha, right? How does it start off? Shlach Lecha anashim v'yaturu. There's that word Rabbi Mas was talking about, which means to reconnoiter, to spy, to bring back reports, to investigate. Send in spies, send for yourself spies to go check out the land, right? They're going to go up through the south, out through the Negev, check out the whole land in 40 days and come back. And we know 1 spy from each tribe. 2 of the spies say we can do it. 10 of the spies say we have no chance. It incites panic. It's a big, big problem. That's the story that we're getting into here. And if you're following along in the Etz Chaim, it's on page 840. If you're following along in a different Chumash, We are in the book of Numbers, chapter 13, the beginning of chapter 13, so verse 1. Numbers chapter 13, verse 1, the beginning of Parshat Shlach Lecha. Why is the Lecha so important? Well, I'll tell you. Because Shlach would make it sound like God is saying, this is a command from me. Send these spies. But Shlach Lecha is very interesting. The rabbis say, if you actually look later on in the Torah, in the next book, in Devarim, in Deuteronomy, when they're recapping this story, we learn a little bit of background. That Bnei Israel, the idea to send spies didn't originate with God, but originated with the people. That the people had doubts. The people weren't sure about being able to overtake this land. The people weren't sure that God was going to be able to uphold God's promise. The people went to Moses and said, we should send some spies and check out this land for ourselves. God's word is not enough for us. And so God relents. And that's why God says, Shlach lecha. I've already told, subtext, I've already told you this land is good. I've already told you countless times I'm going to help you retake this land and make it your homeland. But if you want to send spies, Shlach lecha, go for it. And it's actually a condemnation of Moshe, of Moses as well, because Moses should have been championing God's promises all along. Instead, Moses brought this idea from the people to God. There must have been some kind of exchange. And so when God's saying Shlach lecha, he lumps Moses in there. And it's going to be their fate that they're all going to die in the wilderness. Even Moses, all except the two spies, Yehoshua, Joshua, and Caleb, who bring back the good reports. Everybody else is not going to make it into the land. So that's why Shlach lecha is very important. Send for yourself. This wasn't God's idea. This came from the people. And sometimes, I remember reading a line. A lot of really crazy and cool things get sent our way as rabbis and as clergy at the Shared Zedek from years past. And there was somebody who shared with me some notes from a meeting 30 years ago with Rabbi Henry Balzer, whom I knew personally. His son and I were very good friends. And he had written this incredible line. I can't remember it word for word, but it was something like, the greatest sin for a rabbi is to ignore the will of the people, other than the other greatest sin, which is to listen completely to the will of the people. It does sound like him, right? But there's great wisdom in there. You have to follow what the crew is telling you. But sometimes, particularly when you're on the seat of, you can see the seeds of panic and doubt. That's when leaders need to step up. That's when leaders need to try and quiet the restless crowd. And that's what we'll see Caleb and Yehoshua try and do as leaders. Moses, not so much. I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. Oh, no. Nice.
Bless you.
You know when you think it's going to come and it doesn't come? And that's a terrible feeling. Anyway, so let's get into the Torah reading for Shlach lecha. Leslie Emery is going to read our first three aliyot. So starting with Rishon, the first aliyah. Again, page 840 in the Etz Chaim. Numbers chapter 13, we start with verse 1. And our first honoree, joining us on Zoom this morning, the Kohen Aliyah, Terry Kushner, marking her mother's yortzeit, Mindel Kagna, her mother's yortzeit with this Aliyah. Do we have Terry? Terry is there joining us live from Toronto. Based on her handle on YouTube, I call her the HIS sibling, which she still has never explained to me. But, like a ship, HMS, HIS, right? Hilarious. Okay. Terry Kushner is our honoree. She's here. Leslie's ready to read. Let's do it. Shlach lecha for this Saturday morning, this Shabbat. V'yazor v'yav'yoshia l'chol ha'chosim bo v'nomar amen. Hakol avu godel Eloheinu tnu chavol Torah. Tamod Tova Bad Yaakov Kohen Umindel Kohana Lalia Rishona Baruch Shenatan Tromo Yisrael B'Kedushato Ve'atem Advekim Adonai Elohechem Chaim Kochem Hayom
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, shlach lecha anashim, ve'aturu et eretz Canaan, asher ani noten livnei Yisrael. Ish echad lemate avotav tishlachu, kol nasi bahem, vayishlach otam Moshe, mimidbar paran al pi Adonai, kulam anashim, roshei bnei Yisrael hema.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ayasher Kochech to Terry Kushner, our
May I
first
say
honoree
one
this
thing,
morning.
please?
Absolutely, please.
Because I know my daughter is watching, I would like to wish her a very happy birthday on Monday. It's a very special year for her this year.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. And a happy birthday from us to your daughter as well.
Yes. Thank you for adding that in, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining us this morning, joining us on Zoom, and honoring your mother. May her memory continue to be a blessing for you and your whole family. And let's continue with our next reading. Yasher Kochech as well to Leslie Emery, a beautiful reading to start us off. Leslie will continue with Shani, our second aliyah. Still page 840 in the Etz Chaim Chumash. Now we're on to verse 4, and it'll go until verse 16. Our honoree, it's what we call in the biz a 4 Misha Berach morning. That's because there will be 4 Misha Berachs over the course of this Torah service. See, it's practical. And that's because we have a number of celebrations as part of our Torah service, which is great. Unfortunately, they're all a little camera shy. They all want their their aliyot by proxy, so Bill Wiseman has his work cut out for him. But we have 4 great celebrations today. The first up is our next aliyah, Ed Winters, one of our Shabbat morning regulars, celebrating his 80th birthday. A great milestone, a great simcha, and we are thrilled to make it part of our Torah service here with our second aliyah. Yamor Yitzchak Nisan ben Yosef Halevi v'Golda v'aliyah hashniya.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai vorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai vorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim ונתן לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. ואלה שמותם, למטה ראובן שמוע בן זכור, למטה שמעון שפט בן חורי, למטה יהודה כלב בן יפונה, למטה יששכר יגאל בן יוסף, למטה אפרים הושע בן נון, למטה בנימין פלטי בן רפו, למטה זבולון גדיאל בן סודי, למטה יוסף, למטה מנשה גדי בן סוסי, למטה דן עמיאל בן גמלי, למטה אשר סטור בן מיכאל, למטה נפתלי נחבי בן בבסי, למטה גד גואל בן מלכי, אלה שמות הנשים אשר שלח משה לתור את הארץ, ויקרא משה להושע בן נון יהושע.
Very good.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Avram Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yevarech את יצחק ניסן בן יוסף הלוי וגולדה, שעלה היום לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה ולכבוד השבת, ולהודות על כל החסדים אשר גמל לו אלוהים מיום היוולדו עד היום הזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור אותו ואת כל משפחתו, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיו, עם כל ישראל אחיו, ונאמר Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, bless Ed Winters, who has come for an aliyah this morning with reverence for God and respect for the Torah in this Shabbat, grateful to God for the gift of life which he has enjoyed until this day. Ed, may the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be God, continue to bless you with length of years, with good health, with the pleasures of Torah study, and with the profound satisfaction that comes from a life of ma'asim tovim, that is a life of good deeds. In celebrating this and other birthdays, may your example remind us, people may count the days of their life, but a person of wisdom makes every day count. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tovu, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tovu, mazel tov, simin tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Mazel tov, Ed. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Many, many happy returns.
He's a young 80.
Yeah, very much. Very
I
much.
haven't seen him in a while because of the pandemic and everything. Look forward to seeing you again sometime soon, Ed. And in the meantime, have a great birthday, a great celebration, and thanks for making it a part of our Torah service. It's very nice. Very nice to be able to have a 4 Misha Berach morning that gets us started with 4 wonderful celebrations. And we'll move on to Shlishi, our third aliyah, and another wonderful celebration. We're now on page 841 in the Etz Chaim Chumash, continuing on here in Numbers chapter 13 with verse 17 until verse 20. Leslie Emery will read one more for us. And our celebration with this aliyah, Elaine and Harold Charlotte are celebrating their 66th wedding anniversary, which is an amazing milestone for the two of them. Two lovely people, great supporters of our services, our Shabbat services in our congregation. It's a thrill for us to be able to mark their 66th wedding anniversary. They really did get married quite young, very young. And wow, 66. Very cool. So we'll call them up for this aliyah, and we'll keep reading the story of the spies. You saw, very interesting there, Moses changing Yehoshua's name. He wasn't born Yehoshua, he was born Hoshea. And the Yeh is God, right? Hoshea talking about saving or salvation, but Yehoshua means God will save. So very interesting little hidden message there to have Moses change Yehoshea's name into Yehoshua. I can't recall another character. Usually names are always changed by God, or at least by an angel or a figure of God. But this is an interesting moment here where Yehoshua gets his name changed into Yehoshua. But let's read on. As the spies head into the land, again, page 841, verse 17. Yamdu Chana bad Yoshua v'Nachama Utzvi Chaim ben Yosef v'Chaya V'aliyah ha'shlishit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayishlach otam Moshe latur et eretz Canaan, Vayomer alehem, עלוזה בנגב עליתם את ההר, וראיתם את הארץ מהי, ואת העם היושב עליה, החזקיהו הרפה המעט הוא עם רב, ומארץ אשר הוא יושב בה, הטובה היא עם רע, ומהערים אשר הוא יושב בהנה, הבמחנים במבצרים, ומהארץ השמנה היא עם רזה, היש בה עצים מים, והתחזקתם ולקחתם מפרי הארץ, והימים ימי ביקורי הנביאים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב שרה רבקה רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את חנה בת יהושע ונחמה, וצבי חיים בן יוסף וחיה. בעבור שבאו היום להודות לשם קודשו, על כל החסד אשר גמל להם מיום חתונתם ומיום שמחת ליבם עד היום הזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרם ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם עם כל ישראל אחיהם, ונאמר Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, bless Elaine and Harold Charlotte, who are here today with gratitude for all the blessings their 66 years of married life together have afforded them. To both of you we say, may the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be God, protect you and deliver you. May you continue to enjoy God's blessings in the new song of your years to come, embraced by the love of children and grandchildren, so that you may always live in sason and simcha, in joy and gladness, in shalom and reut, and in peace and companionship. Let us all say, Amen. Od yishama behare Yehuda, ובחוצת ירושלים, עוד ישמע בהרי יהודה, ובחוצת ירושלים, כל ששון וכל שמחה, כל חתן וכל כלה, כל ששון וכל שמחה, כל חתן וכל כלה. Again, a mazel tov, a happy anniversary. Harold and Elaine Charlotte were at my bris.
Wow.
Well, yes, but there were like 300 people at my bris, from what I've heard. It was almost, my mom invited, I think, the entire neighborhood, and people were just dropping by for party sandwiches. But Harold would routinely remind me of this when he would see me. So it's a great family connection for me as well, on a personal level, but for all of us here. What a great thing to celebrate here. 66th anniversary. That's so cool. Mazel tov again.
Rabbi,
yes,
you
sir.
probably remember this. And if you notice, I stumbled in the first part of the prayer. Harold used to come Friday nights on a regular basis.
Of course, still watches.
Exactly. And when he first came, he started singing some of the sweetest harmony you'll ever hear. Jerome joined him.
Yep.
He has an ear for harmony that is just amazing.
It's fabulous.
And a beautiful, beautiful voice.
Yep.
So I miss it, like Jerome said. And in my ear, I was hearing the harmony. So it threw me when I was doing the prayer, but he's got a gorgeous voice.
It's true. It's absolutely true. We talked about that a couple weeks ago at Friday night. It was wonderful. Yeah. So, Yasher Koach, Yasher Kochachem to both of you, Harold and Elaine, and Yasher Kochech to Leslie Emery. 3 beautiful Torah readings today.
Thank you.
I'm going to slide up there and take over for Rivi E, our 4th Aliyah. And we've got another wonderful occasion worthy of Misha Beirach. We're alternating here. We do a birthday and then an anniversary. Now we're back to a birthday. And we have another incredible 80th birthday for our good friend, another one of our regulars, great supporter of our congregation and everything we do here, Abe Barenhout. Oh, another very young 80.
Yeah.
What's with all these young guys turning 80? It's crazy.
And great sense of humor, both of them.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm going to slide up there. We don't have Abe on Zoom. Couldn't convince him. But Bill will recite the blessings. And then we'll make another special Misha Berach as we continue here with the reading. So it's page 842, still here in chapter 13, now verses 21 through 24. Yamod Avram ben Moshe umenicha l'aliyah haravit.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai vorach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu Torat emet. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayalu vayaturu et haaretz mimid bartzin ad rechov levochamat. Vayalu vanegev vayavo et Chevron. Vesham achiman sheshai v'talmai yilidei hanak. וחברון 7 שנים נבנתה לפני צאן מצרים. ויבואו עד נחל אשכול, ויכרתו משם זמורה, ואשכול ענבים אחד, ויישאו במות בשניים, ומן הרימונים ומן התאנים. למקום ההוא קרא נחל אשכול, על אודות האשכול, אשר כרתו משם בני ישראל.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. מי שפרח אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב שרה רבקה רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את אברהם בן משה ומניחה, שעלה היום לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה ולכבוד השבת, ולהדוד על כל החסדים אשר גמלו אלוהים מיום היוולדו עד היום הזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור אותו ואת כל משפחתו, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיו, עם כל ישראל לך ונאמר Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, bless Abe Barenhout, who has come for an aliyah this morning with reverence for God and respect for the Torah and this Shabbat, grateful to God for the gift of life which he has enjoyed until this day. Abe, to you we say, may the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be God, continue to bless you with length of years, with good health, with the pleasures of Torah study, and with the profound satisfaction that comes from a life of ma'asim tovim, that is a life of good deeds. In celebrating this and other birthdays, may your example continue to remind us, people may count the days of their life, but a person of wisdom makes every day count. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tov, simin tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Mazel tov again, Abe. Happy birthday. A lot of great messages in the chat. Make sure you check those out. And to Ed and to Harold and Elaine, everyone's celebrating today. Thank you so much for everyone for all the great messages. But yes, a wonderful occasion here to celebrate Abe Barenhout's 80th birthday, Bill.
Absolutely. Miss your sense of humor, Abe.
Well, he's still got it, and we hope to see it again soon.
Very soon.
There was something in that Torah reading I needed to point it out to you, but I left my sheet over there. Bear with me 1 minute. Building on what Rabbi Mas reminded us of and taught us of at the beginning of the service, every letter in the Torah matters. So if you're good with your Hebrew grammar, this should catch your attention. The way that the verse 22, Pasuk 22, it says, Vaya'alu vanegev. They went up through the Negev, Vayavo ad Chevron, and he went to Hebron. Most people don't catch that. It's very cool. And I'm a huge grammar nerd in English and in Hebrew, so I find these things fascinating. So they went up in the Negev, and he went to Hebron. Remember, Hebron, very important place. It was King David's capital for several years before he captured Jerusalem. But more importantly, it's the site of Ma'arat HaMachpelah, the cave where all the matriarchs and patriarchs are buried except for Rachel, who died while they were on a journey, and she was buried by the side of the road. And they marked her grave, and that's where the tradition of having headstones comes from, to mark a grave. But what is the business of they went to the Negev and he went to Hebron? And the rabbis teach us, very interestingly, and I think there's a note about this in the Etz Chaim, if you're following in that Caleb, one of the spies who will ultimately bring a good report, broke away from the rest of the spies and paid his respects to the mothers and fathers, the avot and imahot of our tradition, by visiting the cave in Hebron on his own, while the rest of the spies went the other way. It's very interesting. They went up through the Negev, and he went to Hebron. And it happens so quickly that you may miss it. I know I certainly did until I was reading some notes and then reminded myself. So right there, even in the Hebrew, it's kind of giving us a little hint that there's a separation, there's a division between the majority of these spies and then at least one, and then later a second with Yehoshua. I found that pretty cool. Hope you did too. Let's continue. Chamishi is our fifth aliyah this morning. Our honorees are Neil and Judy Shirak, who are marking Neil's mother's yortzeit, Fanny Shirak's yortzeit. They are honoring her with this aliyah to the Torah. Bill will recite the blessings on their behalf, page 843, chapter 13, verse 25. Yamduhu Nisan ben Yitzchak ufega, vihudit bar Avram v'Sara, l'aliyah hachamishit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayashuvu mitur haaretz miketz 40 yom. Vayelchu vayavo el Moshe ve'el Aharon ve'el kol hadad b'nei Yisrael el midbar paran kadesha vayashivu otam davar ve'kol ha'eda vayarum et priaretz vayisapru lo vayomeru banu el haaretz asher shelachtanu v'gam zavad chalav udvash hi v'zeh pirya efes ki azam hayoshev ba be'eretz ba'aretz ve'arim betsurot gedolot meod ve'gam yelidei ha'nakra'inu sham Amalek yoshev be'eretz ha'negev ve'achiti ve'ayevusi ve'amori yoshev bahar ve'aknani yoshev alayam ve'al yad ha'yarden vayas Kalev eram el Moshe vayomer alon ale ve'arashnu ota ki yacholnu la.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Ayasher kochachem to Judy and Neil Chirac, our 5th honorees this morning. Neil, marking your mother, Fanny's yahrzeit, may her memory continue to be a blessing for you and your entire family. And thank you for joining us as part of this Torah service this morning. We continue with She. We have a guest in-house. Thelma Suris is with us to read the 6th and 7th Aliyot from the Torah, as well as the Haftarah this morning. So Thelma is going to make her way up to the Bima to get continuing our Torah reading here. The 6th one, She, page 844, verses 31 through 33. You see that they come back after 40 days. Kalev, at the very end of that reading, he's standing up. We can do it. We can do it. You know what's coming next. Here is the rest of them are going to say, no, we can't. No, we can't. But very interesting, the information that the spies start to relay. Yes, in fact, it is a land flowing with milk and honey. Here's some of the fruit. Remember, if you were following along, the fruit was so big that they had to bring it on, like 2 people had to carry a cluster of grapes, right? It's hyperbole, but so is a lot of this situation. It's tough to kind of sift through what's reality and what's not. But they say, yes, in fact, it's great land, but giants, lots of enemies, not such a good idea. And then Kalev jumps in there and says, no, we can do it. And we'll continue on from there. The 6th Aliyah, again, page 844, chapter 13, verse 31. Our 4th Mishaberach belongs to this Aliyah, as Dana and Heartbinder are marking their 18th wedding anniversary with this Aliyah. Bill will recite the blessings for them, but it's an honor to have another wonderful anniversary celebration as part of our services this morning. And with good fortune and with good blessing, we hope that you two will get to 66 years. Mm-hmm. And you can get some tips from Harold and Elaine on how to do that. So, Hart and Dana Binder are our honorees, and we'll call them now. The very, very top of the column. The Ha'anashim, the very top of the column. Yamdu, Dina Natanya, Banisan Viudit. Be'aharon Mordechai ben Beryl Halevi Vester Bela Valiyah Hashishit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'hanashim asher alu imo amru lo nuchal lalot el ha'am ki chazak hu mimenu vayotziu dibak haaretz asher taruota el bnei Yisrael lemor haaretz asher avarnu va laturota eretz ochelet yoshveha hi v'chol ha'am asher I can't see the letters. I can't see the letters. I cannot finish this reading.
Okay. Do you want me to guide you through it? Do you want to find the spots?
I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Asher ra'inu b'tocha.
Now I have to find it. Asher ra'inu b'tocha anshe midot v'sham ra'inu et hanefilim b'nei anak min hanefilim v'nehi be'enenu kachagavim v'chen hayinu בעיניהם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Misheberach Avotenu Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sar Rivka Rachel v'Leah. Hu yevarech et Dena Netanya ben Nisan v'Yudit v'Aharon Mordechai ben Beryl Levi v'Esther Bela bavur shebayom lehodot l'shem kodsho al kol hachesed asher rakam alehem miyom chatunatam miyom sichat labam ad yom hazeh hakadosh baruch hu yishmerem v'yatzilem mikol tzara v'tzukah mikol nego machala v'yishlach bracha v'tzacha b'chol maseh yedehem im kol Yisrael achehem v'nomar Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sar, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, bless Dana and Heartbinder, who are here today with gratitude for all the blessings their 18 years of married life together have afforded them. To both of you we say, may the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be God, protect you and deliver you. May you continue to enjoy God's blessings in the new song of your years to come, embraced by the love of children, so that you may always live in sason and simcha, in joy and gladness, and in shalom and reut, in peace and companionship. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Od yeshama behare Yehuda, uvechutzat Yerushalayim. Od yeshama behare Yehuda, uvechutzat Yerushalayim. Kol sason v'kol simcha, kol chatan v'kol kahala. Kol sason v'kol simcha, kol chatan v'kol kahala. Mazel tov and happy anniversary.
Mazel tov.
The Chai anniversary, 18 years, very special. Thank you for making it part of our Torah service this morning. To Dana and Heartbinder. Wonderful. Thelma Service is going to continue with it for us. Yasher Kochech, Thelma, on the first reading there, 6th. And now we've got our final reading, 7th reading. Page 844, Shvi'im after. This moves us into the next chapter, the beginning of the next chapter. It's interesting, the way that they break it down in the triennial cycle, in the middle of Yehoshua speaking, the Torah reading gets cut off. So it's really worth it to keep reading if you're interested in the story and see what happens. But we get the first little bit here of these conflicting reports between the 10 spies and then the 2 spies. So let's see what we have here, chapter 14, verses 1 through 7. Thelma is chanting the Haftarah as well this morning, so we'll call her for this final aliyah. Tamod tova b'gedalia v'leah, maftirach hizki.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai mevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et toratzo. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vatisa kol ha'edah vayitnu et kolam vayivku ha'am balayla hahu vayilonu el Moshe ve'el Aharon kol b'nei Yisrael vayomru Alehem Kol ha'edah Lumatnu be'eretz Mitzrayim O bamidbar hazeh Lumatnu Lama Adonai Mevi Otanu El Haaretz Hazot Linapol Bacherev Nashenu V'tapenu Yiyu Lavaz Alo Tov Lanu Shuv Mitzrayma Vayomru ish el achiv nitnu rosh v'nashuva mitzrayma vayipol Moshe v'Aaron al pneihem lifnei kol kehat adat b'nei Yisrael v'Yehoshua bin Nun v'Kalev ben Yefuneh min hatarim et haaretz karu bigdehem vayomru el kol adat b'nei Yisrael lemor haaretz asher avarnu ba latur ota Tova haaretz meod meod. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshir Kochech, Thelma. Very, very nice Torah reading. Thelma's got the Haftarah coming up. I usually use this parsha as an example of how the Haftarah works, the thematic connection between the Torah reading and a selection from the prophets. The focus of this Torah reading, this parsha, Shlach Lecha, spies, miraglim. And the story we read from the book of Joshua, the book of Yehoshua, is about sending a couple of spies into Jericho. And what happens to them? What happens to them? So we'll see that coming up. If you want to get ready for the Haftarah, it's page 857 in the Etz Chaim Chumash. Mentioned it's in the book of Joshua. Joshua chapter 2. We'll be reading verses 1 through 14. One final note, this comes right out of the Etz Chaim Chumash, but I thought it was a great way to tie together what we've read today. It's from an earlier pasuk, an earlier verse, but it really, right now we see what's going on, this battle between the reports of the 10 naysayer spies and then the 2 spies, Joshua and Kalev, who are trying to keep spirits high. Menachem Mendel of Kotsk said, what the scouts reported was factually correct, but it was not the truth. Truth is more than a summary of empirical facts. It must include the response of the soul to those facts. And this is where the scouts failed in their duty. I just thought that was such a little brilliant teaching there. Just saying the facts is not the truth. It's the way it hits our soul and our reaction to these facts. That is the truth. This line from Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, right? Because what the scouts said was totally true. They're giants. They have fortified cities. We're in trouble. But was it the truth? Menachem Mendel of Kotsk would say no. Factually correct, but the truth, no. So something to think about there for a little conclusion to our Torah reading today from Parshat Shlach Lecha. As we get ready for the Haftarah, which is again page 857, Joshua chapter 2. Before that, I invite you to rise. Bill Wiseman is here for Hagban Galila, lifting and tying of the Sefer Torah. Bill. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe ki mitzion teitzei Torah udvar Adonai mi Yerushalayim ki mitzion Sion Tetzei Torah Udvar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Yisrael Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato. Please be seated. I didn't know that I had music for it. So Thelma Souris is here for the Haftarah this morning. Again, it ties together the themes of spies. Spies. And so we've got a reading from Joshua chapter 2. And make sure the mic picks you up.
I don't know what to do with it. All right, Leslie's going to help me. Oh, thank you. All right. Is this music? Okay. Well, first I want to speak before I start singing. I know my is kind of freaking out right now, and my friends are, I hope, a little concerned. But I want to just say to everybody, I'm fine. I just got a little lightheaded.
You did great.
And
you did great. You hung in there and read from the Torah beautifully. It was fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah,
but
it was great.
I was a little shaky. You might have noticed.
Nope. Didn't notice anything.
Yeah. Well, if
you look at the Torah and you're like, when did they write the Torah in Greek? I've never. I thought it was written in Hebrew.
As a matter of fact, they did translate it into Greek.
I know, but not the one we read from.
Not the one we read from. And
are you ready for the Haftarah?
I am ready for the Haftarah, but I also want to add a little bit of something to that story you told about what the Kotzker Rebbe said.
Yeah.
And I remember reading about some people who asked a little girl, maybe 4 or 5, if she knew what a fable was. And she said, yes, it's a story that's true on the inside, even if it isn't true on the outside.
Cool.
So the same
Great story.
Same kind of thing. Smart little kid. I don't think I was ever that smart. Well, sure I was. Anyway.
That's a great story, Thelma. Great intro. Take it away.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza v'divrehem hane'amarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uV'Yisrael amo uV'nvi'ei ha'emet v'hatzedek.
Amen.
Vayishlach Yoshua bin Nun min hashitim Shnayim anashim meraglim cheresh lemor lechu re'u et haaretz ve'et Yericho vayelchu vayavo bet isha zona ushma rachav vayishkevu shama. Vayamar lemelech Yericho lemor hine anashim ba'u hena halayla mi b'nei Yisrael lach por et haaretz vayishlach melech Yericho el rachav lemor Otzi anashim habaim elayich asher ba'u leveitech כי לחפור את כל הארץ באו. ותיקח האישה את שני האנשים ותצפנו. ותאמר כן, באו אלי האנשים ולא ידעתי מאין המה. ויהי השער לסגור בחושך והאנשים יצאו, לא ידעתי אנה הלכו האנשים, רדפו מהר אחריהם כי תשיגום. והיא העלתם הגגה ותטמנם בפשטי העץ הערוכות לה על הגג, והאנשים רדפו אחריהם דרך הירדן על המעברות, והשאר סגרו אחרי כאשר יצאו הרודפים אחריהם, והמה טרם ישכבון, והיא עלתה עליהם על הגג. ותאמר אל האנשים, ידעתי כי נתן אדוני לכם את הארץ, וכי נפלה אימתכם עלינו, וכי נמוגו כל יושבי הארץ מפניכם. כי שמענו את אשר הוביש אדוני את מי ים סוף מפניכם בצאתכם ממצרים, ואשר עשיתם לשני מלכי האמורי אשר בעבר הירדן, לסיחון ולעוג, אשר החרמתם אותם. ונשמע וימס לבבינו, ולא קמה עוד רוח באיש מפניכם, כי אדוני אלוהיכם הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת. ועתה השיבו נא לי באדוני, כי עשיתי עמכם חסד, ועשיתם גם אתם עם בית אבי חסד, ונתתם לי אות אמת. והחייתם את אבי ואת אמי, ואת אחי ואת אחיותי, את אחי ואת אחיותי, ואת כל אשר להם, והצלתם את נפשותינו ממוות. ויאמרו לאנשים, נפשנו תחתיכם למות, אם לא תגידו את דברנו זה. והיה בתת אדוני לנו את הארץ, ועשינו עמך חסד באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העלמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. ונאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך, אחור לא ישוב ריקם, כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu v'aruch shemo.
האל הנאמן בכל דבריו.
Amen.
רחם על ציון, כי היבט חיינו, ולעלובת נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu v'aruch shemo.
משמח ציון בבניה.
Amen.
שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו באליהו הנביא עבדך, ובמלכות בית דוד משיחך, במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסו לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu v'aruch shemo.
מגן דוד.
Amen.
על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך, בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu v'aruch shemo.
מקדש השבת.
Amen. Well, not shaky at all. In fact, a great haftarah. I'm so glad that you're able to
Thank you.
recover
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
do a great job. Thank you for being here. That was so lovely.
It's an early commemoration of my mother's yahrzeit because there's a
Bar
simcha
mitzvah.
next week.
That's right.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. So 31 years.
Great Torah and haftarah.
Thank you.
Way to go,
Yashkov,
Thelma. Wonderful.
Yasher
Beautifully
koach.
done.
We're going to continue in a minute with our final Misha Berach of the Torah service on page 34 of the Siddur as we switch back to the Siddur. Thanks again to everyone who joined us during the Torah service, all of our honorees, all of the Misha Berachs, the anniversaries, the birthdays, and to our guest Torah reader again, Thelma Suris, also to our Torah reader Leslie Emery, and to Marvin Polanski and Rabbi Anibal Mas for making everything go so smoothly on the technical end. It was a great Torah service with a lot to be celebrating, a lot of simchas. So that's great. So now we turn our attention to something much more somber, which is all the people we know who are sick. And if you have people's names you'd like to add to our list that we're about to read out loud, please add them into the chat. You can call the office and add a name for 4 weeks. We read these names every day, often twice a day during our services. And again, we're on page 34 with the Debbie Friedman Misha Berach in the Siddur. Rachel Bat Sonia, Alfie Glass, Beryl Ben Dvora, Esther Bela Bat Sarah, Lucy Braverman, Michael Braverman, Karen Greenberg, Georgina Tassara, Tzvia Bat Brana, Yaakov Noman Ben Tzvi, Shoshana Bat Sarah, Adrian McDonald, Frida Bat Regina, Gabriel Garland, Chaya Zahava Bat Leah, Eliyahu Lev Ben Rivka, Eliyahu Ben Riva, Atara Bat Etel, Shmuel Ben Gitel, Dana Brinley, Janice Steiner Bat Batsheva, Stephen Alexander Lee, Kalman Beryl, Aviva Bat Malka, Yaakov Ben Sion Ben Miriam, Isabella Bat Sarah, Batsheva Bat Sarah, Yitzchak Dov Ben Bela, Moshe Aharon Ben Leah, Miriam Rachel Bat Leah, Chavanecha Bat Sabra Ruth, Bluma Bracha Bat Yita Bluma, Paltiel Ben Shendel, Achazan Shefer Ben Miriam, Shendel Bat Miriam, Harav Avraham Yehoshua Heschel Ben Ruth, Reisa Bat Sarah, Gavriel Ben Etel Gita, Chaya Mindel Bat Surafega, Esther Leah Bat Menicha, Leah Bat Adele, Colin Rich, Maureen Rich, Chaim Osher Ben Malka, Herbert Singer, Carla Bat Nancy, Kim Bat Nancy, Andres Ben Gloria, Temi Bat Rochel, Isabella Bat Sarah, Chana Bat Chaya Etel, Sam's List, Carmel Bat Iris, Cindy Levinson. If you have other names you'd like to pray for, you can call them out where you are. You can think of them and keep them in your minds and your hearts as we join together with Leslie in the Misha Berach prayer on page 34.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. מי שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen. Yishar kochech, Leslie. Thank you so much. We invite you to rise. It's the last Shabbat before our next new month, our next Rosh Chodesh. And as has become our minhag here, our custom, Alice Weissman is joining us by Zoom to bench, to bless the new month. The Mivarchim HaChodesh, Birkat HaChodesh blessing is on page 40 in the Siddur. Bill Wiseman has the Torah. Alice is with us on Zoom. And again, we invite you to rise, page 40, for this important Rosh Chodesh benching.
Yehi ratzon milpanecha, Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, shetechadesh aleinu et chodesh haba l'tova v'liveracha, v'titem lanu hayim aruchim, hayim shel shalom, hayim shel tova, hayim shel baracha, hayim shel parnasa, hayim shel chilul v'tzamot, hayim שיש בהם יראת שמיים ויראת בית, חיים שאין בהם בושה וכלימה, חיים של אושר וכבוד, חיים שתבנו אהבת תורה ויראת שמיים, חיים שימלאו משאלות ליבנו לטובה, אמן סלע. מי שעשה ניסים לאבותינו וגאלותם מהבטח לחירות, הוא יגאל אותנו בקרוב, יקבץ מנחנו מארבע כנפות הארץ, חברים כל ישראל ונאמר אמן. ראש חודש אמור
חמישי וביום שישי הבא עלינו ועל כל ישראל לטובה.
The month of Tammuz will begin on Thursday and on Friday. May it be a month of goodness for us and for all Israel.
יחדשהו הקדוש ברוך הוא עלינו ועל כל עמו בית ישראל לחיים ושלום.
Amen.
לששון ושמחה.
Amen.
בישועה ונחמה ונאמר Amen.
Absolutely beautiful, Alice. It's such a treat to hear you do that every month. Thank you so much. We'll invite people to remain standing as we're about to return the Sefer Torah to the Ark. Just in the spirit of making announcements, wanted to remind people quickly, Minyan this evening, Shabbat Mincha with Leslie Emery is at 6 o'clock for those of you with a Yortzeit for today. Tomorrow's services are 9 a.m. Shacharit and 6 p.m. with Bill Weissman. And then during the week, Shacharit on the weekdays, 7:30 a.m., Monday through Friday. Mincha Mariv, Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. Kabbalat Shabbat, Fridays at 5:30. Our congregation, Shered Zedek, our board, our clergy, our staff, and community stand with Israel and condemn anti-Semitism in Canada and across the world. Please visit the website www.fightit.ca to learn how you can stand together to fight anti-Semitism. We've got many different classes coming up over the next couple of weeks. Of course, our weekly Torah L'chaim study session on Thursdays at noon with Rabbi Anibal Mas. Dr. Rina Sector Albaz has Real Women of Jewish Winnipeg on Thursday, June 10th. There are a couple of other great classes coming up in the next couple of weeks, and you can check out our website, szwinnipeg.ca, for more information. Also, don't forget, Shered Zedek Catering. The spring menu is still on. Classic favorites like chicken soup, oven-roasted chicken, herb potatoes, decadent pastries, and much more. Talk to Chef Joel to make your order, I would say today, but on Monday. So Leslie, I guess you're going to take us back based on my looking around and seeing what's going on here.
I guess so.
Does that work for you?
Works for me.
Okay. I think we could do this. So we're on page 41. We invite everyone to remain standing or please rise for Yehallelu and the returning of the Torah.
Yehallelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizkav shemo levado. Hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo. Tehila, tehila, lekol chasidav, Ibnei Yisrael amkrovo. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Page 43.
Etz chaim hi, lama chazikim ba, v'tom cheia, ve'ushar deracheia, darchei noam, v'chol netivoteia, shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Please be seated. It's been a great morning. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and inviting us into your homes or your lake cottages or wherever you are, taking in this service, helping us celebrate Shabbat morning here. And to cap it off, a Dvar Torah
Thank
from
you,
Rabbi
Rabbi.
Nilo
It's
Mas.
been a while.
Yes.
It feels like I have to relearn how to prepare the Torah.
I think it'll probably come back to you like riding a bike.
Yeah, but the joke is better because the longer it takes, I can start using the same jokes.
No comment.
Not for this one. I never used it before.
Okay,
The one that
let's
is
hear it.
coming up. Never used it before. And it's because I heard about this turtle that he was walking down an alley in a big city, and he was mugged by a gang of snails. So a police detective comes to investigate and went to talk to the turtle. And I said, "Can you please tell me what happened?" And the turtle looks at the detective all confused. He says, "I don't know. Everything happened so fast." I want to talk to you today about a fast changing world. You get it? Fast world, slow turtle, right?
You can't explain your joke. Come on.
Fast changing world. But it's a fact. This is the kind of world that we are living in. We feel sometimes that everything is changing around us. And it's a fact. We all have, all the time actually, obstacles, challenges, new things that we have to learn, things that we have to adapt to. And sometimes we hope that everything will stay the same. We wish we can stay in one spot comfortably, enjoying that moment. But that's not the way life works. Sometimes stay comfortable is not an option. Not because you did anything wrong, but that's because circumstances around us, they are going to come to disturb our comfort. And the faster we learn to recognize that reality, the better our chances to make it to the other side. And I heard once, it's kind of a Yiddish expression that I heard once from a rabbi, and the rabbi said, "Mechaye, mechaye, oi, oi, mechaye." That was the only thing the rabbi said. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it said, if all you do in your life is to do whatever you can to stay on that mechaye situation. Mechaye means, how do you translate mechaye, Bill?
To bring back to life? To give life?
No. But in Yiddish, mechaye, it's like
It's
a
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a pleasant thing.
it's
machaya.
like a relief.
Relief,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a
Easy
relief, like to be in a
machaya.
comfortable place. If all you do is to do whatever you can to stay in a mechaye, in a comfortable place, chances are that at the end you will have an oi. But if you're strong enough to take the oi today, chances are you're building your life to have a mechaye tomorrow. So it's your choice. Do you prefer to have the mechaye today but an oi tomorrow, or an oi tomorrow and a mechaye today? And sometimes we have situations like that. Let's say that you're receiving the mail, a ticket. I don't know, you were driving through a red light or you were speeding and you get the ticket. What are you going to do? Well, you can pay it, which is an oi, right? You have to open your wallet. But then you're going to have a mechaye tomorrow. That's it. You paid it. It's done. Or you can put it in a drawer and forget that you got it. And you're going to have a mechaye today, but eventually you're going to get another letter, and now you owe even more money than before. That's your oi. And why I'm telling you this? Because these things, mechaye, oi, mechaye, came to mind immediately when I was reading this week's Parsha. We know that the 12 spies were sent to the Promised Land. Rabbi Lai will explain a lot about that. But when they came back, 10 of them presented a very negative report. Why in this world did they do that? And I know sometimes people said, how can they do that with all the miracles that they experience? How could they? But you know what? Let me tell you that right now. Miracles are useless. Miracles means nothing at the time of having faith or believing in God. And the entire Torah is a proof of that. All these people were having miracle after miracle after miracle, and nothing changed on their lives. Miracles, I believe, is, a little bit of faith today, but then tomorrow you're going to forget about that. If you really want to work on your faith, that's a long journey that involves your intellect, and it's a totally different process. Okay? At least that's my belief. That's my belief. And we can see it with the spies. So miracles, let's say, out of the picture. So why? Why they did that? Well, I believe they had nothing to do with miracles and a lot to do with attitude. It was all about their attitude or what they were thinking at the time that they presented this negative report. And the thing is, I believe, they wanted to convince the entire nation of Israel to stay where they were because they prefer to have a Mechayeh moment instead of having an oi, what it meant to enter to the promised land. But they didn't understand that Mechayeh today will mean an oi tomorrow. And let's say, what was so comfortable where they were right now? They were in the desert after all. We've seen that they were complaining about the desert so many times, but yes, this is what happened. When you stay in the same place for too long, then we get used to it. We get comfort in the dysfunction of life. And we prefer to stay there over taking a risk to do something else. That's exactly what happened. They kind of got used to the manna falling from heaven. They got used to the sukkah. They got used to the pillar of fire at night, reminding them the presence of God and so forth. The other things that the rabbis explain is that the spies, they were actually leaders of the tribes. They have a special status within the context of the desert. But they learned, because remember, these people were slaves. They didn't know much about how society, how cities worked. For the first time, they entered to a real place with cities, with walls, with armies, with businesses and everything, and they realized that their little status that they got in the desert will mean nothing once they enter to the promised land. And they wanted to stay. They wanted to keep that little sense of that they were somebody. So what did they do? They tried to convince the people not to enter to the land so they will feel important for a little longer. In other words, they all had a bias, a reason, an own agenda to avoid entering to the new land. But this is where it gets interesting. Because when they presented this negative report, the one who spoke up and they said, no, guys, come on, we can do it. Well, at least the one that the Torah presented to us wasn't necessarily Joshua at that point. It was Caleb. Why is the Torah presenting Caleb and not Joshua? Because I believe Caleb, out of the 12, was the only one who didn't have an agenda. Even Joshua had an agenda. The other way. For Joshua, it was very convenient to enter to the promised land because he was already promised a leadership position once they entered to the new place. He was the next Moses. So you can expect, of course, Joshua wants to enter. He has a big reward waiting for him, but not Caleb. Not once in the Torah we read that he was promised anything once they entered to the promised land. He was the only one out of 12 who was able to put aside own agendas, biases, fears, what else? Insecurities, and to move forward. So I believe this parsha brings to our attention a character that sometimes we overlook, and that is Caleb ben Yefuneh. Because he is the one who embraced change without being promised anything for that. And that should be us. Because sometimes we know that staying where we are in life, it's not an option. We have to always try to evolve, to progress. For what? Sometimes there is not really an evident and explicit why, but it's an attitude. It's the attitude of wanting to always do something more, always evolve, always progress, like Caleb. And not staying where we are out of fear, out of insecurities, like the other spies. So, if there is something that we should remember as we read this parsha, is the problem with the spies wasn't much about miracles, but it was about attitude. They preferred to have a comfortable life today, even at a risk, to have a big, uncomfortable moment at the future. But Caleb is teaching us that sometimes we have to embrace discomfort today so we can have a chance to have a comfortable future. And remember, in life, if you don't progress, you always regress. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Shekoyach,
Rabbi.
Rabbi.
Strong words.
Beautiful.
Great message.
Thank you.
And your joke had some fans out there. Joanne Seif's whole house apparently erupted in laughter. It was a good one.
Aleinu is on page 44. We invite you to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשל יקרוב השמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אבן זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום וישבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו
We invite you to remain standing for the mourner's Kaddish. This week we mourn the passing of Frida Raber. And we offer our heartfelt sympathy to Marilyn and Robert Burke, Lorraine and Mark Stillman, and Stephen and Lee Raber. We extend our condolences to families in the first month of losing their loved ones, families of Kenneth Gumprich, Sidney Schwartz, and Max Brown. And this week we commemorate the Yortzites of Mindel Cagna, mother of Terry Kushner, Morley Leonard Bell, father of Andy Bell, Morley Blankstein, father of Max Blankstein, Julius Wasserman, brother-in-law of Jackie Wasserman, Fanny Chirac, mother of Neil Chirac, Venuka Alkalach, from One More Candle, remembered by Murray and Sharon Nazen. And for today, from One More Candle, Pessy Buxenbaum, all of blessed memory. A reminder that One More Candle is the organization that helps us remember the 1.5 million children who perished in the Holocaust. Every day we call the name of another child. Again, Mourner's Kaddish is on page 46, and we invite you to remain standing and join in these words with us. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach irutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imramav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated, and we'll conclude with Adon Olam. Rabbi's choice.
Okay. So what's your choice?
No, that rabbi.
Oh, sorry. You have to be specific.
Which
Let's
Adon
do-
Olam do you think Kalev Ben Yefuneh would want?
Ah, there you go. Progressive one, a new one.
He will like, I will say, the Zim.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought you were going to say something like Kalev Ben Yefuneh wants a Adon Olam with a little bit of bark to it.
Caleb. Ahaha.
Jokes are getting better and better.
Yeah.
Which one then? Sorry? Zim. Zim, zimini, zim, zimini, zim, zim, zuru.
Just because it invites participation.
It's
and
great.
He wanted everybody to follow him.
That's true. Unfortunately, nobody did. Okay. Page 47, Adon Olam. Big thank you to everyone for joining us in a great Shabbat Shalom, however you spend the rest of Shabbat. Hopefully it's a great one. And soon we will see everybody back in the building for these Shabbat services.
Yeah.
And if you can get outside, try and get
We're almost
outside.
there. You got 2 doses of vaccine.
Yeah, I'm still feeling the second dose, yeah.
I'm getting it on Tuesday.
I'm getting it next Monday.
Second one.
Second one, yeah.
So, Leslie, you're almost there too, right?
I'm getting there. I've got one. I'm working on the next.
So we are almost there.
Alice is getting her second one 2 days after.
You see,
mine.
we are almost on the verge to having a
Yep.
fully vaccinated clergy team,
Yep.
and hopefully we'll have soon a fully vaccinated congregation.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Thelma,
would
you're
be
getting
a-
your second one too, aren't you?
that will be a game changer.
Yep.
It will.
I agree.
Yeah, just stay strong, people. That's how we beat it.
Exactly. Adon Olam, page
Yes,
47.
Zim. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי תקלוט הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אחד ואין שני לעם שלו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא עוז ועם everybody with כלב אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אלי וחי גואלי בצור חבלי בצרה והוא ניסי ומעוז לי ממקוזי ביום רע אדון עולם אשר מלך
בטרם כל יציר נברא, ועת נשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
בידו,
בידו,
כדרוכים,
כדרוכים,
בתשעה, בעירה, ועם רוחי גבייתי, אדון עלי ולא ידע, אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Take care, everybody.
Thelma Yashikoyach again.